and thanks to be God Almighty for the abundance and grace and joy that all of us can gather in this event in a good health. And before we begin, let me read our schedules today. In the opening, we have an ice-breaking activities, and we will watching one of our friends' introduction videos, and then we have a quiz for the topic. And for the main session, we have a presentation from Professor Stephen Wong from Chinese Hong Kong University about type of physical activities for cardiovascular benefits. And afterwards, we will have a question and answer session. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin with our first agenda, the ice-breaking activities. And first, I would like to inform you that we already have the introduction videos from some of our friends here. And we are still waiting for all of you that haven't uploaded the introduction video yet. And now we will see one of introduction video from our participants that already sent the video. This video is from Zeni Omestriunfo, a second-year college student's bachelor degree of physical education from Iloilo State College of Fisheries. And let us watch this video.
Excited. Good day, everyone. I am Zeni Omestriunfo, 20 years of age from the province of Iloilo, Philippines. I am second-year college student of Iloilo State College of Fisheries, taking up Bachelor of Physical Education. I love dancing and singing as well. The reason why I joined this program is to gain knowledge and idea that I could apply it to myself. It is very advantage to us because it is related to our course, which is Bachelor of Physical Education, for us to be able to share the knowledge that we've been through with this program. I think the only suggestions to increase the physical activity and limit the sedentary behavior is to lessen the time we spend and focus on the things that help us to be more productive and active every day, for us to be able to have a good mentality and physically healthy. Just keep moving and fight the challenging world.
So that is a great introduction video here that we had from Jenny. And again, we are still waiting for the other students to send their introduction video and upload it to our Google Drive. So until we wait from our speakers, we will have a quiz about the last material from Professor Selina Ko. And we will invite Mr. Wildan to send the link in the chat room, and I will want you to click that link and then join us to win the quiz. So as you can see, they're already linked in the chat room. I would like you to click that link and type this code that appear in the screens. This quiz may have about no less than 5 minutes. It's about just 5 questions about the last materials. Okay, we already have Christine Bobis Medico, Mar, and Vanessa, Bridget, Jamel, okay? And we will start the quiz until all of you join this quiz. Okay, we have Ariana here, Vienna, Zeni, and we have about 40 students here. Okay, we're still waiting for the others to join. We have Mariko, Ira, Kate, Kenneth. Okay, did already join this, or someone have trouble for this quiz? Please don't hesitate to raise your hand or open your mic and speak up. If you have any difficulties, we're happy to assist you. Okay, we have Nabila, Yenah Ignacio. Is everyone already joined this one? Should we start? Okay, Katherine, are you joined this yet? Katherine Faye, do you join this one? Okay. So maybe we have to wait about 1 minute before we start. Ariel, Carlot. Okay, we have Mary Joy here. John Joseph. Okay, 30 seconds. This quiz is regarding with Professor Selina Ko topic yesterday. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay. I hope everyone is already joined this quiz. Okay, we have another one, Hilda here. Okay, for Mr. Wildan, please start the quiz. Okay, still we have 32 participants that already joined the quiz. And we already have Kate, Kaburnai, Hannah, okay. And everyone is answer the right question. Okay, we have Kate in the first ranking. Wow. Okay, May is leading the board. If someone doesn't start it yet, please just join this code. Yeah, Carlos is leading now. Wow, good job, Carlos. Okay. Yeah. Bobby. Okay, Bobby's is catching. And we have Carlos for the first one. Answer all right. Okay, we're still waiting for the other one to finish their quiz. Okay, come on, Hannah. Yeah, we have the second one. Ignacio, you still have one question. Come on. Putin, you have one left question. Can we see the other one, Mr. Wildan? Can you scroll down? Okay, Bridget is okay. We have one of the participants. 33 now. Okay, Bridget, only one left question. Mr. Wildan, can we see scroll down? Is everyone already finished? Okay. Okay, I think everyone has already finished the quiz. Okay, Mr. Wildan, can you end the quiz and we see the who is the first, the second, and the third winner of our quiz today? Okay. Congratulations for okay. I haven't seen the name yet. John Carlos, I believe. And Christine Bobbies for the second one. And we have Bridget for the third one. I believe the same with Paulo, but Bridget is the faster one. Okay, thank you for your participation. I believe this should be easy for you because we already talk about this material from Professor Serena Ko. And Mr. William, can you close the share screen? Okay, thank you. So we still have about 15 minutes, and I would like to invite you to join another games like yesterday actually that we have the Roulette that will show your name. So now I want all of you to select one or more participants and send them a private message about who you are, and participants that receive the message should reply it and introduce themselves to. Okay, and Mr. Wildan here will click the roulette, and the name that showed up should speak up about who they are and who the participants that they send the message to. And also, the participants that mention it should introduce themselves to. Okay, are we clear about the rules? Okay, for the participant, you can unmute yourself. It's okay, just say. Say if you have any question, please just raise your hand and just ask about it. Okay, I hope we are clear. And but if the name that showed up in the roulette is not present today, so I will call one of you randomly to introduce yourself. Okay, I think we have to begin these games, and I will give you about 1 minute to send the message, and the time start now. Okay, you only have to select one or more participants, and then you send them a message about who are you where are you from, and then from university, and your hobbies, something like that. You can send it to more than one person. You can send it to 2person, 3person, 4person. It depends on you. So we still have 40 seconds. If you have any change to send with a lot of people, that will be really good. So we can know more about these participants today. Okay, 30 seconds left. And also we're still waiting for the another introduction videos for all of you. I last checked about 10 minutes. We only have about 7 or 8 videos that already upload, and which is there is so many that all of you hasn't sent a video, and we are still waiting for it. Okay, 15 seconds yet. 50 seconds left. 10 seconds. I hope you all already sent the message with the other participant. And that will be great if you send the message is not from the same university you are. So we will know each other better in this event. And have a lot of friends internationally. We have from Philippines, Malaysia, Iraq, I believe. Okay, 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Mr. Wildan, please click to the spin. Okay, now we are waiting. Okay, do we have Ariel Mecones? I'm sorry if I misspelling. Ariel Mecones, okay. We have Ariel Mecones here. I will invite you to switch on your camera and then introduce yourself. So Ariel, please. Don't be shy.
Hello, I'm Ariel Mecaones, 20 years old from the Philippines. I am an incoming third year physical and health education major at Philippine Normal University.
Okay, and who are you sending with the message?
I send it to Paulo Marquez.
I'm sorry, who?
Paulo Marquez.
Okay, we have Paulo Marcos here. Okay, thank you, Ariel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Juan Paulo F. Marquez from the Philippines, attending in Philippine Normal University, the National Center for Teacher Education. I'm 20 years old and from Taguig City.
Okay, thank you. And Paulo, do you send the message with who?
To Mary Joy Taguinod.
Mary Joy. Mary Joy. Do we have Mary Joy here? Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you.
Okay. Mary Joy.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
My name is Marija F. Taginod and I'm 20 years old from Philippine Normal University. I am incoming third year student and also from Bachelor of Physical and Health Education.
Okay, I believe you and Paulo is the same university?
Okay, or woodwind instrument. It's up to you. Since, okay, and this.
Yes. You are the same university, right? Do you send
Yes,
a message with another university students?
No, I sent it
So,
to Leslie.
okay, okay, thank you so much. Mary Joy. So I think we have to introduce Pak Wildan again, Mr. Wildan. Maybe we have okay, one more student. Can you share screen again with the Roulette and spin it again? We will choose one more student. Okay. Aiza Jean Silat. Do we have Aiza? Oh, I think she's not here today. So just like mentioned before, I will choose you randomly and I will invite Nabila Novia Rahmawati. Hello, Nabila. Please switch on your camera. Okay, Nabila. Please don't say. Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't turn on my camera.
All right, it's okay. So please introduce yourself.
My name is Nabila Nafira Rahmawati. I'm 18 years old and I'm from Indonesian University of Education, majoring in education.
Okay, so you are here, right? From Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay, say hello to Nabila and are you send a message with another person, another participant?
No, I don't.
Wow, it's too bad. It's okay. Okay, it's okay. Thank you, Nabila.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have to invite one more student. And I would like to invite Ariana Tuano. Ariana Tuano, are you here? Please. Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I am
Hi.
Arian Michael Sim Mondorondo Tuano, all the way from Davao Oriental State University from the Philippines. I am a third year Bachelor of Physical Education student, and I love dancing, and I'm a Taekwondo enthusiast.
Wow, what a great introduction. Thank you. Ariano, do you send a message with another participant?
Yes, I
And
sent it to Bridget and Isti Kumalasari.
okay, so we have 2 person. Okay, Bridget. Bridget, Ariane is calling you to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone.
Okay. Hi, hello.
Hello everyone, I'm Bridget Modo, a second-year student taking Bachelor of Physical Education at the University of the Immaculate Conception, Philippines. Nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you, Bridget.
Yes.
So we have another one. It's Isti Kumalasari. I believe she's the lecturer here. Okay, for Miss Isti Kumalasari, you are calling from Bridget. Please switch on your camera for Miss Isti. Okay, I believe she's not here, or maybe she has another activities. Okay, we have Pagano here. Okay, so I would like to come back to Bridget. Bridget, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you sense the message with other participants?
Yes, to Kurt Gabriel.
Kurt Gabriel. Okay, Kurt Gabriel, are you here?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I am Kurt Gabriel from Philippines and I am incoming fourth year student in Philippine Normal University and it is nice meeting you all.
Nice to meeting you too, Kurt. So Kurt, do you send a message with
Yes.
another university?
No.
No,
Just
it's
my
okay.
fellow.
It's okay. Who is it?
It's Ira Caburnay.
Ayla.
Ira Caburnay.
Ira. Okay.
Yes. Thank
Ira.
you.
Okay, thank you. We have Ira here. So we still have 4 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ariana Burnay, incoming fourth-year student, taking up Bachelor in Physical and Health Education in Philippine Normal University.
Okay.
My hobby, I am more inclined with sports, and I am currently a player for the PNU women's basketball team.
Wow.
Now, the one that I message is from University of the Immaculate Conception, Miss Katherine Lamban.
Miss Katherine. Okay, thank you so much. Miss Katherine, do you hear me?
Yes, Miss. My name is Katherine Faye Lamban, 19 years old.
Okay, can you switch on the camera? We want
I
to.
have no camera.
Oh, okay, that's okay, no problem. So please continue the introduce.
Okay. My name is Katherine Faye Lamban, 19 years of age, taking Bachelor of Physical Education from University of Immaculate Conception, Philippines. Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. So I believe this is a really good introduction for all of you. We have from Philippines and then from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia itself. And I would like to ask the other committee, does Professor Stephen Wong is already here? Oh, it's already here. Okay, so I think this is enough for the first session, for the great opening and enthusiastic. I really love this. And now we have come to the main session. In the session, Professor Stephen Wong from Chinese Hong Kong University will talk about the type of physical activities for cardiovascular benefits. And this session will guided by Miss Wulandari Putri. Miss Wulandari Putri is one of the lecturer of PET for elementary school study programs. And I will invite Miss Wulandari Putri. You might guide the session.
All right, thank you, Bu Anira. And here we have already come to the main session, and here we have Professor Stephen Wong. All right, good morning, dear all participants, and welcome to the main session of the summer program day 2. In this session, we will have 60 minutes for presentation and 30 minutes for question and answer sessions. Today's speaker is Professor Stephen Wong, PhD from Chinese Hong Kong University. He will deliver a topic about type of physical activities for cardiovascular benefits. Before we invite Professor Wong, please allow me to read his CV first. Professor Stephen Wong is professor and chairman of the Department of Sports Science and Physical Education of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. He also serves as co-director of the Hong Kong Institute of Educational Research at CUHK. Professor Wong is a fellow of the American College of Sport Medicine and the Hong Kong Association of Sport Medicine and Sport Science. He is a member of the editorial board of the International Journal of Sport Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism and the ACSM Health and Fitness Journal, and advisory board of the Journal of Sport Sciences. He also serves as associate editor of the Journal of Exercise Science and Fitness. Professor Wong's research interests involve exercise metabolism, sport nutrition, and physical activity and health. He had obtained his BEd from the University of Liverpool and doctoral degree from Loughborough University. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a brief CV of Professor Wong, and without any further ado, please welcome Professor Wong. Professor Wong, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind introduction. So let me share screen first. All right, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, just want to go back to the introduction. Because the host the professor just said, I am the chairman of the department I just finished my term as chairman. I remain as a professor. I'm still teaching in the department, but I'm no longer the department chair of the sports science and physical education. But if you would like to know more about our university, you are still very welcome to contact me. So once again, thank you so much for having me in this summer course, and I have been looking forward to meet you all here. So I will teach in the following 60 minutes, and on Thursday again. All right. So I have two interesting topics to share with you. So today I want to focus on two things. I want you to understand or refresh your knowledge about the definition and classification of physical activity. And the focus of this lecture is also on the international PA guidelines between adults and children. And we also discuss some of the health benefits, particularly the cardiovascular health of physical activity. So first, the definition of physical activity, because when I read the pamphlet of this program, I am aware that actually the target of this program is students from all majors who have interest in connecting and interacting with children and leaders working with children physical activity. So I guess some of you may not be very familiar with exercise or physical activity. So I think this definition at the very beginning is useful for you to understand what we mean when we use the term physical activity. All right. So the definition here is any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscle that results in the expenditure of energy. So I think this statement can highlight all the important and relevant concepts regarding physical activity. First, this is a bodily movement, right? So that means any kind of bodily movement, including, of course, exercise, as you must be very familiar. The other important element in this statement is skeletal muscle. So muscular contraction should be the process that will result in the energy expenditure. So when you contract your muscle and move around, no matter whether it is household chores or exercise, you're bound to use your energy. So expenditure of energy is the third element in this statement. So I hope students can remember bodily movement first, contraction of your skeletal muscles, followed by energy expenditure, right? So these will qualify this kind of movement as physical activity. Now, based on the definition, now you can appreciate that physical activity is not the same as sport, even though sport is part of it. Now, when we try to understand this concept based on the movement intensities, well, I use children here as an example, but it also applies to adults, right? Very little energy expenditure will happen when you sleep. However, when you move around from sitting to running very fast, your energy expenditure will definitely increase. So I like this photo. That's why I just borrowed it from Professor Joe Salmon of Deakin University. So physical activity is not the same as sport. So you can see the children walking to and from home, between home and school, right? Or you go to parks just to lead your dog for a walk. It's also a kind of physical activity. So I hope you can, not simply limited by the concept that physical activity is equal to sport. So I think sometimes, mainly because we are teaching in university, college, and our target group are primarily students. So students are supposed to be physically very active, and they think sport is is almost equal to physical activity. Now that may be a misconception. And after you graduate, if you work in school as a teacher, so on the one hand, you have students who are very active, even though you are not asking them to do any exercise, but they are still in the sport team, take the initiative to be physically active all the time. But I guess there may be a large number of students who choose to remain in the classroom and play with their cell phone, talk to their friends. They are very physically inactive. So sport, right, obviously may not be their choice. But the challenge here is how to motivate this large number of school children become physically active, right? I think that is a big question to all of us as physical education teachers at school. Now, we not only ask students just walk, take more active transportation, but we also hope that the exercise intensity can increase. Now, try to apply the exercise intensity concept into these figures. So we usually use the MET value to indicate the exercise intensity for various kinds of physical activity. There are 3 different classifications of physical activity. Anything lower than 1.5 MET, the MET value is a acronym of energy expenditure, the metabolic equivalent, which is measured at rest, all right, the energy expenditure at rest. And when we say 1 MET, that is equal to 3.5 milliliter oxygen uptake per kg body weight per minute. So this is the energy or oxygen, I would say oxygen, to use to for energy metabolism. So you can see that this exercise capacity can be expressed in multiples of the resting metabolic rate. In other words, when you start walking, right, from a sitting position to a light physical activity, LIPA, LIPA, between 1.5 MET to 3, this exercise intensity is classified as light intensity. So when you when you see this term in textbook or a research article, now you understand the light physical activity means energy expenditure between 1.5 MET to 3 MET. All right, that is 1.5 times to 3 times of the energy used at rest. All right, so the individual with a 10 MET, 10 times of the resting energy, in other words, has a VO2 max of 35, right? Just 10 times of this 1 MET. This is 35 MET oxygen per kg body weight per minute. So actually the light intensity range is just 1.5 to 3. It's really light, right? and the movement include walking and a large number of physical activities when you are at home, right? Doing different type of house chores. When you increase the exercise intensity higher than 3, right? That is the moderate to vigorous intensity, MVPA. And we prefer to make another classification here between 3 to 7. 3 to 7 MET is described as the moderate intensity. So anything higher than 6 is classified as vigorous physical activity. But for children, we prefer to prescribe an exercise intensity higher than 3, and sometimes because they are healthy, they are physically active, they can cope with exercise or any activities higher than 6. That's why for children and even adult, we like to describe this kind of activity as MVPA, moderate and vigorous intensity, all right? So anything higher than 6. In other words, if you are asking somebody to run at a faster speed and the intensity is vigorous, then the MET value can be as high as 10 or even higher, all right? So try to apply this concept and remember this MET value that is used to describe the exercise intensity on physical activity. And at the same time, we understand now what light physical activity or moderate to vigorous physical activity, MVPA, means when you see these terms. I haven't touched on this part, probably in the next lecture on sedentary behavior. So anything now you understand below 1.5 MET is viewed as sedentary. And research has shown that the relative risk of death, right, decrease when people are involved in exercise intensity, higher exercise intensity, or MVPA. So you see here, the relative risk of death is way higher than those people who are involved in a relatively high, with high MET value. So it seems that the best benefit is demonstrated when you can achieve a MET value higher than 10 here, right? And the relative risk of death decline significantly in this range. Actually, anything higher than 6 MET, that is the level of vigorous physical activity, would be greatly beneficial as prevention. Now, look at this lower panel. Now you understand from this table, yes, people are still encouraged to be involved with a lot of light physical activity during the daytime. But if the exercise intensity doesn't increase, you cannot draw the benefit of this. So try to move your MET value from this red zone under 4 MET to the yellow one, right? So try to increase your physical activities to the moderate physical activity level. I try to show you some evidence how increasing the MET value or the exercise intensity help to improve your cardiovascular fitness. So this systematic review examined 33 studies with more than 100,000 participants from different individual studies, right? And you can see here, sorry, the met value when how much you can improve the cardiovascular fitness. So the all-cause mortality significantly reduced if you can increase 1 met of your energy expenditure through physical activity, right? 30%, and the reduction of 15% for cardiovascular events, and for waist circumference, right? That is a good indicator of obesity, right? Can reduce 7%, and the systolic blood pressure also dropped significantly. So from this systematic review with a large number of participants, we can clearly see that a 1 met increase can bring very significant benefits to cardiovascular health. And similarly, the all-cause mortality can also be improved. So the relative risk associated with the physical fitness level significantly reduced in men and women in this study, right? So in the left-hand side, you can see those people with a low aerobic fitness, the chance to die from all causes death is much, much higher than those people with a high fitness level. So, and this effect can be observed among both sexes. In fact, those findings probably won't surprise you too much, but at the I think because this good message has been repeatedly reported in news and in your textbook and journal article, right? But when you was first reported just in the 1950s, I think that was really a surprise to many people. And actually, these findings was firstly reported by Professor Morris in 1954, just after the Second World War. And he observed there has been an increasing number of people dying of heart attack. And so what he did is in this double-decker bus in London, he tried to compare the death caused between the conductors and the drivers. So this is the bus conductor at that time, all right? So when the passengers get on the bus, the conductors will give the passengers a ticket, and he will walk up and down the bus to check whether the riders are holding a valid ticket, all right? So this is his job. And actually in Hong Kong, I remember when I was a child, around 1970 to 80, we can still saw the bus conductor working in any bus in Hong Kong. And of course, over the past 2 or 3 decades, because of the auto machine for the ticketing machine, there's no need to hire a bus conductor anymore. But after the Second World War in 1950, that was still a good job, I think. So compare with this bus driver who sat the whole day to drive the bus. You can see here, the bus conductor was supposed to be very physically active because his job is to moving around the bus and sell the ticket. So Professor Morris estimated that this person has to walk 600 stairs per day, and compare with this bus driver who remained sedentary throughout the day, and 90% of the shift is sedentary, right? After this driver went back home, perhaps the lifestyle is still very sedentary. So 90% of his time remained sedentary. So he tried to observe whether there is any relationship between occupation and heart attack risk. And the finding is very interesting. And the result was reported in a very major medical journal, Lancet, in 1953. So the driver who were inactive compared with the conductor who was supposed to be very active, you can see the rate per thousand is much, much lower among the bus conductor, right, in any group. So this panel try to illustrate those bus conductor and driver with incident as angina pectoris between 1949 to 15. This is the heart disease, and this is the recent 3 months and the total incident. Now, when you look at this result on total incidents from 1949 to 50, well, the bus conductor, the number of bus conductor who died on this heart disease was significantly lower than the bus driver. And the other study is the comparison between the postman and the telephonist. So at that time, they still require a lot of workers to connect the phone. So these are, the comparison is very interesting to see, because for the first study, the London double-decker bus study, they compare the driver and the conductor who were classified as inactive and active for conductor. And similarly, for postman, they have to carry a big bag of letters to deliver. When this group of workers were compared with the telephonist, you can see a similar result was observed between this inactive and active group. All right. So the London double-decker bus study was the first epidemiological study on physical activity and health that sent the same message as I showed you in the previous slide in the recent studies. But this one was published in 1953. The message was similar. So the key finding from this London double-decker bus on mortality rate were very phenomenal. In conclusion, the physically more active workers who are conductors and postmen were less physically active. They live a sedentary life, right? Where there's the death cost of this group of people, right, of heart disease were much, much higher than those people who are classified as more active, who are the bus conductors and the postmen. And based on these significant findings, in year 2000 in British Journal of Sport Medicine, and that issues was attributed to Professor Morris. Professor Barger described him as a pathfinder, right? Because of the Lancet study. So the quote here is that the first study by Morris and his colleagues was of transport workers, which showed that highly active conductors in double-decker buses were at lower risk of coronary heart disease than drivers who sat through their shift at steering wheels. If conductors did develop the disease, it was less severe and occurred at later stages. So the messages hasn't changed much, right, since then. And over the past 2 decades, more and more research studies have reconfirmed this finding, and large epidemiological study provide more evidence that there is a strong relationship between physical activity and the occurrence of coronary heart disease. So please remember this classic study, right? Trying to compare these two. I think this is a very good observation because after the Second World War, the UK received a large number of immigrants, and those immigrants, the people of color, work right as bus conductor and other physical labor that is usually viewed as a job with lower pay when compared to a more skillful job like bus driver. So you can see usually at that time, the white people, maybe the local British, white British, took up this kind of job, more comfortable sitting behind the wheel, whereas the new immigrants, the people of color, work as bus conductors. However, the health benefit were different actually. So this is a very significant finding from their study, right? 30% drop for heart disease. Well, in another large study reported in the JAMA, you can see the risk for cardiovascular disease, the weekly walking step, right, on 72,000 women between 40 to 65 years is significantly lower when they can achieve a higher time of walking. So the relativity score significantly drop for those people, for those women who can achieve higher than an hour higher than 2. So 70% reduction of the relativity score. So in other words, again, if you can increase your weekly walking step, all right, and walking time here, you can lower your risk of coronary heart disease. So going back to the early slide, right? I mentioned about the concept of physical activity, and I told you that physical activity doesn't merely mean sport. Now you can understand simply increasing your walking time in your daily life can bring health benefit to your heart, all right? So I think this message, together with the finding from the classic study by Professor Morris, are very meaningful, not only for us, all of you are teenage or young adult who are supposed to be very physically active and are more willing to be engaged in physical activities. I think this finding, especially this one, because the women participated in this large-scale study were 40 to 65. And these were the women who are at the same age range of our parents or your grandparents. So I hope you can remember this message and try to engage our parents or those friends who don't share the same passion to sport or physically active lifestyle, and tell them, well, if we can go for a walk, even in the shopping center, all right, with air conditioning, that would help. I think this message would also be useful and applicable to our grandparents, because sometimes we are more concerned about their safety, right? And if they just go out for a walk, we are not sure whether it is safe for them to stay outside because of the traffic, or sometimes, any uncertainties. Now, but if you have a nice park just next to your estate, or a shopping center with air conditioning facilities, right? Try to bring them to that shopping center or accompany them for a walk there, even without doing any shopping, just window shopping. So if they can increase these walking hours, that would, help. Besides the London double-decker bus study, and you can see the commentary from Professor Barger in the British Journal of Sport Medicine. This study, published in 1970, served another classic study to highlight the benefit of physical activities on cardiovascular health. All right. So I hope you can remember these two pioneers, Professor Morris, for his study published in the Lancet in 1953, and also Professor Barger for his Harvard alumni study in the 1970s. So it seems that there was a progression between the study of physical activity and coronary heart disease, right? And these two studies were still worth mentioning in your presentation or your homework as in your introduction. So in the 1970s, Professor Barger from Harvard University tried to conduct a survey with the alumni graduated in 1962 to 66 and 72. And eventually, they were able to collect the information from almost 17,000 Harvard male alumni. And the purpose of the study was to examine the relationship between physical activity and incidence of heart attack. So look at this result, all right? For those people, the heart attack per 10,000 person years of observation, and they developed this physical activities index in kilocalorie per week. So again, energy expenditure here. So they use this physical activity index. You can see the higher the index, right, there's more significant drop of this heart attack report. So very significant, very clear relationship between the physical activity and heart attack and the reduction of heart attack. And when you look at this table, this is the table to illustrate the age-adjusted rate and relative risk of first heart attack among Harvard alumni study in a 6 to 10 years follow-up by measure of energy expenditure, right? So you can see the relative risk significantly drop for those people with a higher physical fitness index. Look at this, right? So the alumni with a lower index Okay, the relative risk is significantly higher. So this is another interesting study you can refer to when you start your writing up or review in this particular field. So the major message from this study is that men with physical activity index below 2,000 kilocalorie per week were at 64% higher risk than classmates with higher index. Well, actually, if you have a physical activity index in this study below 2,000, this is really sedentary. So risk of first heart attack was related to energy expenditure inversely. So I think the message here are very clear. Try to increase your physical activity, perhaps simply by increasing your walking time, would greatly benefit your heart health. All right. So this Harvard alumni study for the first time classify those alumni who spend less than 2,000 kilocalories as sedentary, right? They use this term to describe this group of alumni, and eventually conclude that sedentary men had a 31% higher risk of death than more active men. I think this is the key message, okay? And the study was reported in 1986, so quite a long time ago, but together with the Lancet study, right? Actually, the message hasn't changed much in the following 3 decades until nowadays. Of course, now we are not only limited to the finding or the strong association between physical activity and heart disease. Now we have very good evidence from scientific study that physical activities is associated with the reduction of the all-cause mortality, including chronic disease and other disease. We have accumulated a large body of evidence on this. And yeah, so in 1986, the term sedentary was used. And funny enough, we see this term quite often now in the area of physical activity research. And actually, a term was coined as sedentary physiology, all right, trying to examine the physiological effect when people remain chronically sedentary, okay? So you remember the slide at the very beginning, the energy expenditure lower than 1.5 MET is classified as sedentary behavior. So for those of you who simply sit tight for the whole morning for this summer course, right? You spend the whole morning being sedentary. You know, you can see my screen. Actually, I'm not sitting, I'm standing. So I try to move this, my behavior, standing posture, from sitting to standing posture for at least this lecture, right? For an hour or an hour and a half. Just the energy expenditure is not significant, I would say. But throughout the day, all right, if I remain standing while working with my computers, you can see I can gradually accumulate the energy expenditure, right? And try to cut down the sedentary behavior by moving my body from sedentary to light physical activities. Well, that helped. Maybe throughout the day, I just accumulate another 80 to 100 kilocalories. That is not much. But for the whole week, that is probably 700 to 1,000 kilocalories, right? That would enable me to enjoy another bowl of instant noodle. So try to, apply this concept from textbook or from our lectures to your daily life. And similarly, I mentioned about our friends who are not very active or our parents or grandparents. As physical educator, those people are always in our mind, in my mind. I'm not too concerned about those students who are in the sport team, right? Because of the Olympic trend, people are very motivated to participate in sport. Yeah, I'm more concerned about those people who remained very physically inactive throughout the day, including our friends, your roommates at universities, our parents or grandparents, and especially for Asian. I think the trouble is perhaps because of the Confucian teaching in Asian countries. Sometimes we share the common value, right? People, when they are getting old, they gain weight, and that means they are living a good life, all right? Because they don't have to work, they enjoy a lot of food, they stay indoor, and gradually their weight go up. And our culture in the Asian countries means that, well, you are very lucky because you are enjoying your time now. But actually, this is not physically. You can see by the time, right, their waist circumference increase, their body weights go up. Well, you can at the same time go to see the doctor quite often. So this is not a good way of life, students. Try to apply what we see, what you hear from the lectures over these few days, and the knowledge you gained from other professors at your own universities to your daily life. Especially keep those people and your relative, your family member in mind, and try to apply this knowledge to tell them, well, this is not just my own wish. This is evidence-based suggestions and recommendation. And you go with them as well. I mentioned about the shopping center, you remember. You just don't ask your parent to go there or your grandparent. You walk with them for, check out the toilet facilities, where there is any seat, any possibility to buy a drink, and tell your grandparent, well, if you are tired, you can sit there, enjoy the big screen, watch some Olympic Games, toilet is over there, so and so forth. Try to make plan and make people become physically active, similar to your student, your school children. If you simply ask them to go to the park, the next question arises is you receive a lot of questions from their parents. They may tell you, well, yes, there's a park, but the children have to cross two main roads, and I don't feel safe. You have a plan, a workable plan to make people become physically active. And if you are involved in health promotion at your own school, a primary school or secondary school, right? You better set up a committee and work with your colleagues to draft out a plan how to make your student to become more physically active. I think that is also the purpose of the Active Global Kids Alliance, right? In terms of those parameters, those indicators, organized sport for students who are interested in sport team, and active transportation, how we could increase the walking or biking for children going between home and school, right? And other healthy behavior. So we need a plan, a workable and achievable plan for them to be physically active and cut down the sedentary behavior. Right, this slide shows the acute and chronic effect of exercise. So just a reminder, some of you may be familiar with this physiological effect, but as exercise physiologists, we are fond of the acute and chronic effect of physical activity. And similarly, as I mentioned, nowadays, not only the acute and chronic effect of physical activity, but also the sedentary behavior, right? If you just sit like this for 3 hours, what happened within your body? But coming back to this here, exercise. So when we say acute effect, that simply mean the health-related changes that occurs during and in the hours after a single bout of exercise. And this single bout of exercise may be just 30 seconds or 3 minutes climbing up the stairs for 2 or 3 floors in your building. So this is a single bout of exercise, and you also apply this concept to high intensity exercise, because if you just climb up a stair, right, for 10 seconds or 30 seconds for a few floors in your building, well, that is a single bout of exercise, and the duration is relatively short. But the acute effect is obvious. The big jump of your heart rate, right, and your breathing frequency, right? So these are the physiological responses of high intensity exercise, perhaps for a single bout of exercise, and we are interested in studying this effect. Now, if you repeat this exercise again and again, now you can see the chronic effect over time. So the definition here is the health-related changes due to alterations in the structure and function of various body systems, independent of acute effect. Now, if you repeat the same type of exercise, perhaps like training, all right? If you repeat the same activities for 8 or 12 weeks, you won't see this happen just within 2 or 3 weeks, right? It depends on the intensity, of course. But usually in scientific study, you will see that investigators try to observe these changes after 12 weeks. Okay, so a 12 weeks protocol is a normal duration for investigation. And what they want to see is the change of structure and function of your body system. Okay, so try to understand now what are those acute responses and what are the chronic responses if you can increase your physical activity. Now, I just mentioned that the exercise intensity the exercise duration could not be too short, but sometimes you can still see the effect if the increase of physical activity is significant, like this study. For those subjects who just make less than 13,000 steps per day, when they significantly increase their step almost 10 times, 8 to 10 times, right? From 13,000 to 1,300 to 10,000, right? It's a significant increase. Just within 2 weeks, because of this significant increase of exercise, of daily steps, you can still see the significant changes in terms of the cardiorespiratory fitness, the insulin sensitivity, and the adipose tissue, right? Very significant. I think, yes, the time seems to be short, just 2 weeks, but the exercise volume is very significant. It's not just a modest increase from 1,300 to 2,000. No, it's almost a 6 to 8 time increase, right, to more than 10,000. Now for the cardiorespiratory fitness, you can see that a significant change enhanced here. The color, this should be the cardiorespiratory fitness here. All right. And this is the yellow, and this should be the blue one. Yeah, the blue one here. So cardiorespiratory fitness can be improved just within 2 weeks with a significant increase of steps. Well, we have described the benefit of physical activity on cardiovascular health. Let us switch our focus to physical inactivity and know something about the consequence if you spend a lot of time being sedentary. So in these figures, you can see a lot of negative result being physically inactive. I think people can understand what happens if you are confined to an indoor environment for too long, mainly because of the COVID, right? And we heard a lot about some mental health problem like depression of teenage and elderly people because of the lockdown for too long over the past years. So not much physical activity can occur. And research also show that, right, there is a decline of skeletal muscle function and mental health, dementia, and because of the, the increase of body weight and other chronic disease may occur like cancer, increase of blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic syndrome. I think this one is very prevalent among adults when they reduce their physical activities or remain sedentary for a long time. And unfortunately, most of these negative results, like alcohol fatty liver, metabolic syndromes, occurred without your knowledge, right? Of course, you can still see some sign. Perhaps your body weight significantly increased, you don't feel good, and but the problem is over time, over months and years, gradually your metabolic function drop significantly, and you are not aware of that. Okay, so similarly, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetics gradually chip in. So I think we should not view that these are unavoidable. These are avoidable as long as you can, make a good decision in your nutrition and at the same time live a healthy lifestyle. And being physically active is one of the effective means to achieve this result. So not only physical activity is a target, but at the same time, we don't have time to talk about nutrition. These are the two pillars for health maintenance, all right? And to avoid the metabolic syndrome and insulin resistant and type 2 diabetics. So for effective health promotion, physical activity is, of course, a major area to focus But at the same time, I hope you can also know more about nutrition. And and the main goal is to avoid the premature death. All right. So if you can be, you are clever and you know how to make an informed decision about health choices, okay, that will contribute to the avoidance of premature death. So now look at this. I think the majority of the audience in these lectures are probably classified as type C, highly active, okay? So if that is the case, congratulations, I don't worry about you. But as I said, for those professors or teachers in the group, you are probably in B or even an A. Now, if you happen to belong to A group, I hope after the lectures or this program, you will, right, try to make some change to move yourself to the group B, moderately active, by engaging more physical activity in order to gain the health, to improve your health status. You can see the physical activity level at the same time increase. All right. So this progress of health status have to be implemented, right? Have to be supported by effective strategy. Now, what are the summary of the health benefit when you are engaged in regular exercise physical activity? Reduce mortality and the risk of recurrent breast cancer by approximately 50%. This is one of the proven effect on cancer, breast cancer, as well as colon cancer. All right, these are the two types of cancer strongly supported by research evidence that physical activity can bring the benefit. And in terms of mental health, Alzheimer's disease by approximately 40%, heart disease and high blood pressure, 40% reduction, stroke, 27%, diabetics, 58%. And in terms of health economy, it can save 2,250 US per person per year. The depression, as suggested in the previous slide, and muscular strength can improve. And another risk factor, if you have a low level of fitness, right? try to avoid being overweight and unfit. And I think this one is very meaningful for those teachers working with school children. Regular physical activity has been shown to lead to higher exam score for adolescents. So over the past recent years, there have been a number of systematic review that regular physical activities has been shown to be associated with good academic performance. All right, so I think the parents welcome this kind of findings and let their children to be more physically active in addition to PD class. Right, PA guidelines, according to the recent recommendation from WHO, 5 to 17 years old children and teenage should be engaged in MVPA for 60 minutes per day, right? So the exercise intensity is moderate to rigorous for 60 minutes, 5 to 17. So school teachers, please adhere to this message from the WHO and make sure you are able to provide this amount of physical activity for your school children. And 3 times, at least 3 days per week, they should also be provided with opportunities for strength, muscle strengthening exercise, because that will help their muscle and bone. So this message is also included in the WHO recommendation for children and adolescents. And at the same time, the recommendation suggests that we should limit the amount of time spent being sedentary for children. So the specific message is that children and adolescents should limit the amount of time spent being sedentary, particularly the amount of recreational screen time. I think this is a very common situation nowadays, all right? So limit the screen time among our school children. The evidence is here. High amounts of sedentary behaviors are associated with the following poor health outcomes: increased adiposity, poor cardiometabolic health, fitness, behavioral conduct, prosocial behavior, and reduced sleep duration. All right. How about adult? Our friends, colleagues, or parents or grandparents? The WHO recommendation suggests that for adults aged between 18 or 64 years, all adults at this age range should undertake regular physical activity, right? And this recommendation is supported by this is a very strong recommendation supported by moderate certainty evidence. When they say moderate, actually that the evidence is sufficient to make this recommendation. So what is the volume of the physical activity? At least 150 to 300 minutes and moderate intensity, right? So for adult, it doesn't have to be vigorous, but if they are fit, they can reduce the time to 75 to 150, but the intensity has to be increased, right? So this is either or. So for me, I choose to do the 150 because I just want to maintain my health and not and don't want to engage in exercise of high intensity. So I choose to walk for an hour every day, so you can accumulate the time to 300 minutes. Okay, and at the same time, at home, you can do some muscle strengthening activities to keep your muscle. So these are the recommendations for adults. And similarly, you can apply this recommendation to your daily life. For example, climbing the stairs, and at the same time, limit the amount of time being sedentary. That is quite similar to the message to teenage. Well, actually, when you compare this recommendation to other national recommendations, they look very similar. Now, this one is from the UK Chief Medical Officer PA guidelines published in 2019. Actually, the message are very similar to the WHO recommendation, right? But the messages seems to be even more specific here, you know, in terms of the health benefit, including build social skill, coordination, concentration and learning for school children, because this recommendation are designed for 5 to 18 years, health and fitness, muscle, bone, sleep, weight, and you feel good anyway. So the target is the same, 60 minutes per day across the week, and they even spell out what type of activities they should be engaged, like play, active play, run and walk, skating, swimming, skipping, climbing, right? These are quite common activity for children. And biking, active transportation, PE class, sport, workout, dance. So sport is one of them, but it doesn't have to be sporting activities, because if you can provide high quality PE class, that would form a good basis for accumulate this amount of physical activities. And they also walk to and from the home and played as well. So you see, the messages from the UK government is very similar to the WHO. And similarly, this is their recommendation to adults and older adults. So 150 minutes if the exercise intensity is moderate intensity, and it can be reduced to 75 if this is vigorous intensity. All right. This is something they should avoid, right? Just lying on the couch and enjoying the watching television or working with your computer for a long time, just like what you are doing now. All right. So try to break your sedentary time by standing up or moving around with your headphone. So problem of physical activity is very severe. 1 in 4 adults is not active enough, and more than 80% of the world adolescent is insufficiently physically active. So leading to many negative consequences, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetics, and as I mentioned, metabolic disease. So this is the trouble, all right? So lifestyle physical activity is what I try to promote. So hopefully you can apply my recommendation and suggestion to your daily life by engaging in different type of physical activities. Okay, so I hope I finish my PowerPoint and hope that you can achieve the 3 learning objectives I described at the very beginning. So the first thing is to understand the definition of physical activities. The second thing is to understand the health benefit of physical activities, particularly cardiovascular health. So you can tell yourself and your friends which are the pioneers in this field and their specific classic study, as well as other study with strong evidence to demonstrate the health benefits between physical activity and cardiovascular health. I also cover the physical activity guidelines from WHO and the UK government. Actually, many Western countries apply the same recommendation as you see from the UK recommendation and the WHO. They look very similar. I believe even in other Asian countries, perhaps in Indonesia, you apply the same recommendation to your citizens, right? At least in Hong Kong, we do the same, right? So these are the contents for my first lecture, and I hope you can follow them and you find it interesting. Thank you very much, Professor and student. Yeah.
All right, you're welcome, Professor Wong, and thank you to Professor Wong for such a great presentations. And now we will have a question and answer session, and I will invite questions from participants. Should you have any question, you may write the question in the chat room or raise your hand. All right, let's see, do you have any question? Okay, if you have any question, you may raise your hands. Let's see from the chat room. Okay, we have question here. We have question from Asa. Okay. Here is the question. Hi, I have a question. There are still some deaths like heart attacks, which attacks activists who involve themselves in regular physical activities, hit gym regularly, and have balanced diet, etc. What is it in such way?
Yeah, I understand. And sometimes I think this is a very good question. I think this is a very good question because on the one hand, you receive a lot of messages, like I just told you, to be physically active, right? But on the other hand, from time to time, we read the news that somebody suddenly died of exercise while playing basketball or go swimming. Right? I think most of the time, you know, when of course we are shocked when we see somebody die of a sudden heart attack because of during exercise. But most of the time, I know these people are actually suffer from congenital heart disease. You know, they have some problem with their heart, but they may underestimate the severity of their symptoms. So this is very unfortunate, and also send us a message that especially most of these people are middle-aged adult. If they have any symptoms, I think they should go to see a doctor instead of thinking that, well, doing more exercise can heal them. That is not the way they should treat themselves, you know. So you don't have to worry. According to research, this kind of sudden death with unknown cause is 1 in 200,000 to 300,000. So it is a very, very extremely unusual case unless you have congenital heart disease, you know. I think you don't have to worry. That is what I should tell you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So don't be worried unless we know that we have heart disease symptom. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I would like to invite.
But of course, if you can afford the cost, and if you want to, you know, convince your parents, your grandparents to do exercise, if you can afford the pre-screening, of course, I think I don't mind you to bring your parents or your friends to a medical doctor or cardiologist to go through some basic tests or screening, right? Actually, I don't know the usual practice in your country. And in Hong Kong, we don't do the pre-screening even for school children and teenage. But we, the PE teachers or the school, require them to sign a form before they start the class, the term, just to declare, right, by their parents, whether these children are healthy, whether the children are suffer from any, you know, disease that the school should know. So I think this declaration is also useful for school teachers or workplace. If your workplace office try to promote physical exercise, that would be nice to ask your employees to make self-declaration about their health in order to avoid this kind of accidents. You know, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor Wong. So declaration and screening will be beneficial as well. All right, now we will invite another questions.
Yeah, I can see that. One is a response, right? And the other one, too much exercise may also cause problem. You may seek for medical consultation before starting any, high intensity exercise. Yeah. Well, glad that you, for Adrian, you mentioned about high intensity exercise. And actually, I also mentioned about high intensity exercise. Now, if you are not a patient of any cardiac event, actually you don't have to worry too much about this high intensity exercise. If you are talking about climbing up the stairs for 15 seconds, I think this is quite common for all of us if you are in a rush, right? If your teachers or your boss want to see you and his office is upstairs, well, we just rush to the floor and climb up for the stair for 10 seconds. So this is high intensity exercise, right? So, but of course, if your breathlessness is very unusual and you feel chest pain or any other symptoms, and again, this is a symptom, so you have to listen to your body and observe carefully whether you should take any precaution or go to see the doctor. I think this comment is very sensible. Yeah, but for all of us who are reasonably healthy, well, actually, I don't see even high intensity exercise is a challenge, is a threat, and you don't have to worry. Now, the other thing is, when we mention about this high intensity exercise, we are not talking about 100% workout. You know, the definition of high intensity exercise is exercise between 80% to all out exercise, maybe even 110% VO2 max. That is true. But rarely we ask somebody to exercise at this end. We could just increase the exercise intensity beyond the comfort level and bring it up to 80%. And if you are very fit, 90% for a short period of time. So compare with just aerobic exercise or walking, of course, this 80% of VO2 max is high enough, at least for me, all right? But I don't think this exercise intensity will cause any immediate threat. So you don't have to worry, especially if you are healthy. That is, you know, I think your comments are fair. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Wong. Here we have some opinions in the chat room.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it has been read as well. All right, do you have any other questions from the participants or the students? Do you have any questions? Or maybe you want to express your opinion?
Well, I think the comment I see here are very good. Yeah. It seems that we have a very informed group of participants.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Does somebody want to express their opinions or simply give a questions? All right. You may raise your hands or type your questions in the chat room. We have 10 minutes left, so it will be sufficient for 2 more questions. All right. Well, while we are waiting for another question, Professor Wong, I have one question. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
All right. For someone who has a concern with their heart problems, what kind of physical activities that might suit them?
Well, now if you look at the statement from American Heart Association, they still encourage cardiac patients to live a physically active lifestyle. So for cardiac patients, of course, they should receive a close medical supervision and surveillance, but it doesn't mean that they have to be physically inactive. I think the point is, first, they have to get the approval and support from their cardiologist or medical doctor. You know, they get the green light, what kind of physical activity they can be engaged. And then the second thing for common sense is the exercise intensity. right? As I mentioned, I keep repeating myself. Compare with exercise volume, duration. The exercise intensity is the determining factor. So for cardiac patient, I don't think this is necessary to engage in a high intensity workout or physical activity. So if you are talking about just a 30 minutes walk at relatively light to moderate physical activity, that is even the recommendation from the AHA, the American Heart Association. So I think it really depends on the condition of the patient, and they should seek medical advice first and conduct a safe and healthy physical activity. Yeah.
All right, thank you for the answer. And now we have another question to Ariel. Would you like to ask the question directly? Oh, well, we have someone raising their hands. Panov Rizal, please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wulan. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, how are you doing, Mr. Professor Wong?
Thanks. Yes, I remembered you. Yes.
Okay. Well, Professor Wong, we are now facing an outbreak in COVID-19 pandemic, and obviously it is affected children's activity, especially at home. So I would like to ask, how much activity do kids need, especially at home? While as we know that it seems to be impossible for children, because during this pandemic where everyone is expected to stay at home. So when we have to keep the kids keep moving, obviously we must make some activities at home. And then how much activity do kids need to stay active and stay healthy as well? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think your question is very urgent and very relevant to the situation we are encountering now. And over the past years, at least in Hong Kong, all the classes were suspended and we do the homeschool, right? And the situation was very difficult. Even though the school still tried to, ask the student to attend the so-called PE class, because it's homeschool, they set aside some time for PE class. Not sure whether the children can really, engage in any physical activity besides the class. And sometimes I think the challenge is even greater when the indoor environment is so limited and congested. I'm not sure whether, because my perception is that your country is a huge country compared with a city like Hong Kong, right? Maybe even I just can't make the comparison, because even in Jakarta, a big city, but the environment may still be more spacious. But in Hong Kong, if the children are told to stay home, is home and is with limited space. So what I can suggest for your question is two things. First, try to effectively apply the IT technology. For example, whether the teachers or the parents can find some active games and any video that are suitable for children to follow. If they have some programs or designed by YouTuber or the teachers or by the school for a short period of time, you can play it with the children, and the children with just limited space, they can follow the screen and do the exercise or game, more interactive. I think this is very important. If you simply ask somebody to follow the exercise, well, not sure whether the children get bored. So games style physical activity, while IT and video would be very useful. Now, this kind of activity, as I mentioned about space, would not require the child to move around. So they have to take in the space into account when they design this kind of activity. All right, the instructor or the program have to be designed with this kind of constraint. So, for example, now I'm standing in front of my computer, and if I'm looking at the video or the program or the game, the space I need is just a a few square meter here, and the child can move or even jump or squat or play with a softball, very soft, right? So they don't break anything, or tower. Now this is the design the PE teachers or the programmer have to design. The other thing is if they are adults at home, I think we should engage the parents or their grandparents or friends together so they can play together instead of doing the exercise on their own, right? So this is the good time to engage their parents or their siblings to work together instead of expecting the children to exercise on their own. I think this principle should be deliberately considered when the PE teachers or any health promoter or educator want to, engage the child for physical activity at home with limited space or constraints. So these are the my recommendation for you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. So the key is also the parental involvement as well with the children activities, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One more thing is, if possible, I think we should provide some wearable technology to the children as well. Okay. So, for example, if the school can afford, I'm not talking about a heart rate monitor, and that will cost you more than 1,000 Hong Kong or 2,000 Hong Kong. I don't know how about your dollars, but the school may not be able to afford this kind of gift to individual child, but a small pedometer or step counter would be helpful, right? Or even some low grade watch. So because in Hong Kong we can sometimes buy some souvenir like this from cross over the border in Shenzhen. They can send in, and it's very affordable, but the effect is still very good. The school can or the parent can purchase this kind of device for the children and let them know, well, when you move, right, the heart rate can jump up to 80 or 90, but if you remain watching television, well, this is not a good sign. I think this feedback to the children is necessary.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Wong, Ms. Wulandari. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you to Professor Wong. And we have 1 minute left. I think we still have two more questions. I will read the questions. The first one, what are some signs of overworking your body as athletes who engage in physical activity constantly? And the second one, how to encourage a person who is lack of intrinsic motivation in doing physical activity?
I think this one also is a very good question because we are so keen, so enthusiastic. Sometimes we just push too much. The basic answer here is for overstretching or for overworking your body is that if you are not able to recover from any exercise after 24 to 48 hours, right? I think the message is very clear. You may have overstretched yourself. 24 to 48 hours rest, right? but you are not still able to recover. I'm not saying some muscle soreness. That is normal, because if you are not very familiar or you have a very hard training, you may feel the muscle soreness. But you know what I mean. After 22 nights of good sleep, you still feel very dizzy and no appetite and so forth. Well, that may be a sign. Now, if this symptom persists for over 7 days, I think, well, then this exercise section is just too much, and there may be something wrong with you as well, you know. So you can apply this suggestion to monitor your recovery. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you to Professor Wong. I think this is the end of the question and answer session. Well, dear all participants, now we have come to the end of the sessions. Thank you for such a great involvement in our sessions. And now we will be back to the Master of Ceremony, to Ibu Anira.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wulandari, and also our guest speaker. Thank you so much, Professor Stephen Wong. That was a really great presentation and a really good discussion.
Thank you.
And I would like to say that this is the end of the second day of summer program. We will meet again tomorrow for the third day, and you will meet again with Associate Professor Selina Ko from University of Malaya. And before we leave this meeting, I have two announcements for you. First, for your information, our activities are broadcast online through our YouTube channel, Physical Education, PET for Elementary Study Programs. And you can reopen the materials the day before, and don't forget to subscribe. And the second, as the requirement to get a certificate of this program, you should at least attend 80% from the total of program. So I'd like to remind you to fill out the attendance link that we already provided in the chat room. And the last one, I'd like to invite all of you to switch on your camera, and we have a photo session with us in the second days of this program. So please switch on your camera for who that still switch off their camera. Okay, here we have 3 screens. Okay, and I'll begin with the first one. Okay, so your smile, big smile, in 1, 2, 3. Okay, we move to the second one. Okay, we still wait for another to open their camera. Okay, that's really good. And I would like to say 1, 2, 3. Okay, really good. And the last one, we'll wait for them to open their camera. Okay, and 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you so much for your participation. And on the behalf of the committee, I would like to extend our gratitude for your participation and involvement in this meeting. And see you again tomorrow. Stay safe and healthy. Wassalamualaikum.